Hello everybody, this is Blue, and we are going to be talking more about the MGTOW paganism. If you're not familiar with those terms, MGTOW stands for Men Going Their Own Way. This was started a couple decades ago, where men were getting disgusted with the dating scene because they felt that they were getting the short end of the stick, and marriage, because if it ends in divorce, it can be very one-sided because the courts generally favor the females, and when it comes to distribution of wealth. Paganism is an umbrella term for a series of beliefs that are more individually based instead of group-based. Paganism is not connected with the Abrahamic religions in any way, shape, or form. So if you are a devout believer in one of the Abrahamic religions, some of this is not going to be very interesting to you. Alright, now this video is called Reclaiming Manhood, Escaping the Man Box. This is about the mentality involved in manhood, because there are a lot of aspects, attributes, stereotypes, expectations that are thrown upon men that are bullcrap. And so we got to start with some definitions. And here's one. Shreks is usually categorized as female and male, but there is variations in the biological attributes that comprise sex and how those attributes are expressed. Okay, what it's basically saying is that, we're not carbon copies. We're not cookie cutters. Some of us are taller than other men. Some of us are shorter. Some of us way more. Some of us are stronger. Some of us have dark hair. Some of us have no hair. Genetics is not easily copied. Okay. Gender refers to the socially constructed rules, behaviors, expressions, and identities of girls, women, boys, men, and gender diverse people. I do not believe in gender roles here because, well, we'll get into it later on, but who in society gets to determine who a man is or what a man is? And when they say gender diverse people, they're talking about hermaphrodites. These are people that are born with various levels of both sexual organs. And they have a more complex life than what many of us know. Okay. Are you a man? Now, Matt Walsh did a series of videos and all that asking, do you know what a woman is? What is a woman? Well, same thing here, but, well, for men. Are you a man? Well, biologically speaking, if you have a penis and testicle between you, you're a man, right? Well, there's also other differences in being a man and woman, but they are not unique. Men generally are taller than women, stronger than women, bigger than women. There is some mental wiring that is also different than women, but not unique to men. Now, this is very important. We must remember this. While men tend to be more analytical, women tend to be more emotional and abstract. Okay? It's been proven in studies that women can understand other people's emotions better than men. Okay. But when you get into that, there are times where men are better caregivers than women. And some women are like faster than men. Okay. Some of these attributes are not unique only to men or to women. And so we must remember that there are differences, and that's important. The man box, I mentioned this. The man box was a concept created back in 2013. Matt Green, if I remember right, was his name, with a few others. The man box is what he says was how we are contained. We have so many expectations and demands thrown on us, and we are told that we have to live up to these expectations or we're not a man. And so we are trying, as men, are trying to live up to these expectations. And to do so, we are limited in our actions. And so it's like a box, our prison. And as this picture shows, it is very crude, rude, and it's just a limitation for us. The man box. All right. In here are some of the expectations that are thrown upon us. Now, the thing that I don't like about these concepts, what people are saying are required of men to be men, is that everybody's added to it. Even feminists, they have added to it because they want to make us men look bad. Okay? So, they want to say how unemotional we are. Well, they add to it. They have actually added to the man box so that they can villainize us. And that sucks. All right. Do not cry openly or express emotions, with the exception of anger, because they say us men are always angry and aggressive. And so, yeah, that's one of their ideals here. Do not express weakness or fear. So we cannot have weaknesses, and if anything looks bad, we're supposed to just go into it anyway. And that's so unrealistic. We're human. Fear is an emotion. We have it, and it is used to keep us safe because it's like, well, do I go in there? That doesn't look too safe. That is our mind telling us, hey, there's some dangers there. Think before you leap in. Okay, next one. Demonstrate power and control, especially over women. Okay, that's more of the feminists throwing that in there. Men are supposed to be strong and be in control of the world around them. And, that's a good thing because men have to go in and build society, right? But they want to make it where it's personal. And men try to work as a group, and they're trying to, in this, say that men need to be individual and, cookie cutter and take control, and that causes unneeded aggression. And hey, what do we got next one? Aggression, dominance. Okay, they are expecting us men to be power hungry and take from the weak and just be bad people. Protector. Now this one I kind of like, but I kind of hate as well, because here we are. We are expected to go into harm's way to protect everybody. There are too many times where the situation could have been handled a lot better by being a little bit calmer, but we are expected to go in there, with our fists clenched and attack. Don't be like a woman. Now, this we're going to talk a lot about later, but they want to, in this main box, make it where you are either manly or female. You are female, you are weak. And so this is an unhealthy trait that they want to throw on us. Heterosexual. Okay. Again, this is closed-minded thinking that should not be pushed on all of men, because they're saying in this, you got to be loving and lusting after the women, or you are somehow inferior, and that's wrong. Next one, don't be like a gay man. Okay, again, you know, because if you're lusting after men, there's something wrong with you. This is pushed on because we believe that society must continue, and so man being with man does not produce children, and thus it is unproductive, thus wrong. Men with women is productive because we can have offspring, and thus that is what it must be in a lot of people's eyes. Okay, next one, tough, athletics, strength, courage. Again, this is going into some of the previous. We are expected to be in our most manliest form, strong, being able to do all this type of work. We are expected to, go hunting, go after bad people. We are supposed to be able to bench press all this weight. We're supposed to do all this, and if we don't, we're weak. Make decisions. Does not need help. Okay, again, we are expected to take control of situations, make decisions. And here's that unhealthiness that they're throwing in there again. Don't need help. They're pushing that on us. You're a man, think about it, do it your damn self. But yet, women like to complain that we make all these decisions without talking to them first, right? They want teamwork, but yet we have these people that are pushing this narrative that men do it themselves. They think for themselves. They take control of the situations, and they block other people out. This is one of the reasons why this man box concept has to be removed. Again, now this one is more feminist here. Views women as property and objects. There is a history of men in various societies viewing women as objects. You get into the religions like Christianity, and they have these rules where, like, women are supposed to be quiet in public, and like if they have a question about the Bible, they are supposed to go home and ask their husbands. They cannot actually ask the minister at the church a question, because the men are supposed to be the spiritual leaders of their home. Gee, more stereotypes thrown upon us. And so that's one concept of the man box. Act like a man. All right. Men are supposed to be the breadwinners. Okay, this is why we have met some men that are very aggressive and angry when women are making money, because they are told that they are to be the primary breadwinners of the house, and with modern society that's not happening. Men are violent. Well, no, not anymore. Well, we are aggressive, yes, but did you know that almost half of the domestic abuse cases are caused by women here in the United States? And so to say that men are violent is to completely ignore the fact that women start fights too. Mean. Well, that's just being difficult. Okay, yes, men can be mean, but usually they have a reason for it. Might not be the greatest reason, but they have a reason for it. Bullies. Now, this one is not unique to men. Women can be bullies too. They even made a movie about it, Mean Girls, okay? Because there are women that like to create these cliques, these groups, and to have power over other women. So to say that bullies is a man thing is wrong. Okay, we're supposed to be tough, yes. Angry, yeah, we hear it. Active. Okay, yes, we are supposed to be out there doing things. We are supposed to be taking care of the yard, working on the house. We're supposed to be doing all these great things for everybody else, but very seldom anything for ourselves. Men are supposed to be strong, successful, and in control of women. On the other side, men have no emotions, okay? They're supposed to stand up for themselves, but actually they're being told to stand up for themselves because of the family. You know, you're supposed to be a man. You're supposed to take care of this situation. What would your family think if you don't? You're supposed to yell at people. Women yell at people too. It's not a man thing. Okay? Can take it. Now, this is one thing I hate about the man box. Men are supposed to take it. Whatever happens to them, they are supposed to take it and move on. Women like to have the victim. We have, like I said, there are just about 50% of the domestic violence that happens in the United States is caused by women. And so there are women that abuse men, and the men are supposed to take it. They are laughed at if they were to go to the police and say, my wife is attacking me, my wife is hitting me, my wife has threatened to kill me. You know, there is such a strong social stigma to this, and it has to be destroyed. For those of you who might not know this, in California, we have a lot of female shelters in California. If I remember correctly, there are 30 to 50 women's shelters in California, you know, to protect women from cases of domestic abuse. Okay? That's a good thing, because, you know, domestic abuse is bad. It's dangerous. There's only one in the state of California for men. That's how lopsided the mentality is. And so what happens to the men? A lot of people don't care. They will cry, oh, men tears. Men don't make mistakes. Yes, they do. We're human. We're not perfect, so we are going to make mistakes. Women make mistakes too. So, you know, again, so much of this women are doing, but it's only being, you know, blamed on men. Don't cry, okay? Curse, because you can take it, can't you? It's wrong to cry because it's a weakness, and that has got to go. Take charge, of course. We're supposed to be bossy. Push people around. Okay, this is what they're throwing on us, and then if we are aggressive, we are shamed for it. Know about sex, okay, because we're supposed to be horny bastards all the time. You know, it's irritating because, like Lady Blind Wolf, when she did her little rant, you know, she was talking and trying to condemn men because men are wanting this, wanting that, and we are supposed to be just wanting to impregnate women. But women push this narrative on us, because even when she was saying this in her rant video, it was enforcing all these stereotypes, traits, and all that about men on men, because she was projecting her hatred onto men. Sometimes people need to learn the best thing to do is shut up. Don't back down. Again, this is aggressive. Men are expected to go in and not give up on a fight. But there are times where it is best to turn the other cheek. Time to walk away. There are times where you have to stop and reevaluate the situation to know what's the best thing to do for everybody, including yourself as a man. Take care of people. Now, we are the type that take care of people. Men take care of people better in so many ways, but they don't get credit for it. And name one way that men take care of people. Men build houses. Men build buildings. Men build businesses. So, you know, when those cold winters come, you know, you got this nice warm house to go into, thank men. You know, businesses, hey, you're out of milk? Go to the grocery store. How did that milk get there? Thank men. So there are attributes out there that are being held against men and not women. It's terrible. Feelings. Oh gosh. Sometimes we're supposed to be confused. And that part is, again, a little bit of women saying that men are not as smart as women, and that's furthest from the case. There are intelligent women out there, but to say that all women are smarter than all men, no. We're angry. Well, with some of the crap we have to deal with, I understand why. Scared, ashamed, alone, stupid, powerless, vulnerable, revengeful, hopeless, worthless. These are some of the emotions that they love to throw on men. I hate a lot of these because, they only see men as one-dimensional, and men are complex. The man box is a set of beliefs in society that place pressures on men to be a certain way. The man box rules. Now here's some more. A lot of people have added to the man box concept. Self-sufficient beliefs. Men are supposed to be able just to take care of themselves. Okay. Acting tough. Again, we are supposed to give out this persona that we are bigger, bad, and all that crap. Physical attractiveness. Men are supposed to be at the prime of their physicality. In my one video, I talked about the 4 6s, where men were supposed to have a six-pack, be over 6 feet tall, and have a dick longer than 6 inches. Okay? Well, there we go. Physical attractiveness. This is the demands that women want to place on men, but men can't place any standards on women because, like, body positivity and all that fun crap. Because, yeah, and this is, it's in a lot of videos out there, but I'm going to say it anyway. It is interesting how a lot of women would like to say that their man should be at least 6 foot tall. Something that men can't control. Okay, I am at 6 feet tall, but a lot of men aren't. Okay, and so because they're not at least 6 feet tall, it's used against them. However, weight, which is something that you can control, is something that you can't talk to women about. You can't demand a woman weigh less than 180 pounds because then you're fat shaming them. So they have this double standard. Things that men can't control are used against them, but there are things that women can't control, and how dare you. Rigid gender roles, and we are going to be getting into that. There are certain things that men are expected and demanded to do, but then women, it's a different set of rules. Heterosexuality and homophobia, again, because loving men is considered a weakness, it is looked down upon for anybody to be a homosexual, and that is wrong. Hypersexuality, meaning that men are supposed to be horny all the time and all they think about is getting some nookie, and that's not realistic. Aggression and control. Okay, again, we are supposed to be aggressive over all situations and want to control all situations because that is what we are expected to do. What is the man box? All right, here we go. Represents how boys and men identified people are taught to view manhood, women, and girls. I hate the concept of identified. Okay. I identify as... Okay. No. Now, people are going to say that I am anti-transgendered. I'm not. There are people that do have serious reasoning. Okay. But I believe that there are a lot of activists out there, a lot of people that want to push their own agenda. and they are targeting a lot of kids, and I mean kids. There are people that want to push certain gender education programs into schools, targeting kids under 10 years old, and I'm against that. One of the purposes of this video is to try to explain that, society does not determine who you are and what you are. Your biology does. So if you are biologically a male and you don't feel like you're male enough because of all these standards that I've been talking about, and you think that thus you are a trans and you need to transition to being a woman, I think that's wrong, because you need to determine who you are. We need diversity in the sexes, okay? We need to have a wide variety of men representing all men and a large variety of women representing all women. We cannot have cookie cutter. There are times where we need the brute. We need the aggression. We need somebody that can fight. But then there are times that we need men out there that can write poetry, men that can work on the computers. We need men that can lead through empathy. We need men that can lead through intelligence, not through brute force. And so if you are a guy and you like to write poetry, you play role-playing games, you're still a man. There's nothing wrong with you. You're perfect the way you are. We need everybody the way they are. If people are trying to tell you that, oh, maybe you're a woman in a man's body, got to find out why they are suggesting that, because I believe that their intent is not pure. I believe that they are pushing an agenda, and that is wrong. Am I pushing an agenda? No, I'm trying to educate. And you can believe what I'm saying, or you can walk away from what I'm saying. It's your choice. But just remember, you are perfect the way you are, no matter what. T. Women and girls are objects, the property of men, and have less value than men. Oddly enough, that is true and false in many ways. Yes, there are a lot of cultures that say that women are less than men. There are people in the Islamic beliefs that are saying that, I believe that a cow, an oxen, is worth more than women. And that is wrong. How this is viewed wrong is the fact that the sinking ship mentality. Okay, Titanic is going down. Well, who goes on the ships first? Women and children. The men have to do everything they can to make sure that the women and children are safe, because they're valuable and we don't want to lose them. And once we get all the women and children on the boats and they're safe, then men can get on boats, or they can swim alongside the boats and that. Okay? So the idea that all around we view women and girls as lesser is false. Boys and men should not cry or openly express emotion. Okay, this is wrong too, because we're asking men to suppress their emotions. And it's funny because, it's not funny. It's interesting because if you watch NFL, after they score a touchdown, we got the men doing these crazy dances, jumping up. There's other men catching them. Yeah, we scored a touchdown. That's expressing emotions. They are happy. They are excited. That it's very positive. But there are people that are saying, man, that's kind of weird. That could almost be considered gay. And that's wrong. We should be allowed to be emotional. have emotions, because there are a lot of positive events in our lives. You're getting married. Hey, you put a smile on your face. You're having children. Better be smiling. Okay? Like, your children could be getting married. You could be having grandchildren. There's a whole bunch of things in life that can make you happy. Buy a new car? Awesome. Finally paid off the house? Great. Be happy. It's all right to express emotions. Okay? Don't repress. Express. Boys and men should not show fear or weakness. Now, you see, this is something that women like to also show, because it's a double-sided sword. We have it where women are saying, well, men need to express their emotions, but as soon as they do, those are used against us. And so we have to kind of be very, very careful of how we express our fears and weaknesses. But it's all right to be afraid. It is all right to have a weakness, because we're human. Okay? We sometimes don't want to go into the area because there are, I went to South Dakota, and they had a sign, be careful of rattlesnakes in this one park. And it was like, well, I'm not going in there. I'm not stupid, because I have a fear of poisonous snakes. And that's fine, because those are what keeps me safe, that keeps me alive. Boys and men should not act like a girl. Again, this is about portraying women as weak, but are not men. Because if you are showing an inability to throw a baseball, they could say you throw like a girl. Well, that's wrong, and we need to get rid of that mentality. Boys and men should be decisive and not ask for an offer of help or accept help. Now, that part I disagree with completely. Men have to work as a team. That's why there is so much teamwork in building a house. We have to ask for help. We have to have people come in and work with us to build a house. Very seldom can one person build a house. I mean, you have to have a lot of skills. I mean, because not only do you have to build the framework, you have to install the electricity. You got to install the water. Okay, got to install the heating, the air conditioning, and all that. And sometimes, not all guys can do that. I can do general electrical repair, but there's no way I can install electricity into a house. So I would have to ask for help. And again, aggression equals dominance, because we're supposed to be aggressive in both good and bad forms, because they like to say that us men think out of anger instead of out of intellect. Oh gosh, I saw this and I had to add this to it. Scoot over a little bit better. Little tips to encourage masculine behavior in our sons in 2011. And this is so stupid. I'm not going to read all of them. Let your son play with other boys and prove his self-worth with those boys. In other words, throw your boy in there and make him express his dominance over others. Boy, isn't that a good positive idea? When your son cries, don't pick him up. Stop babying your son for every little cut and scrape. Screw that idea. If my son is hurt, I'm going to find out why. Love. There's nothing wrong with showing some love and compassion. You got to look to find out how bad it is. I mean, if you're just going to go, blow it off, kid, Dad, I need stitches. Blow it off. No, you take your child, you love them. Both male and female, boys, girls, love them. All right? Stop calling him little man. He's your son, not your man. Okay? Some people just do it to build a connection. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't allow him to saunter around with his arms folded across his chest wearing flip-flops. Okay, some of these ideas are asinine. Okay? Don't allow him to put on anything belonging to his sisters at all for any reason. Okay. I've got to find the one. There's another one in here. Okay. A little bit further up. Make sure he wears masculine colors. Absolutely no pinks. Again, this is people that have such a closed-minded concept of what manhood should be, and this is what they're going to project, this is what they're going to expect, this is what they're going to demand, and we got to get rid of this mentality. It's not healthy for men. Now, all of these negativities that are projected onto men, this is where they get the concept of toxic masculinity. The man box, look at it. Remember, we talked about all these negatives. Well, here it is. The harmful form of masculinity that values dominance, control, and violence over other stereotypical masculine traits. A form of masculinity that relies on the devaluing and stereotypical female traits. Man over woman. Okay? And we are trying to rebuild, I am trying to redefine what manhood is so that we can get rid of toxic masculinity because it's wrong. Now, the toxic masculinity and what I've been talking about with the man box is hegemonic masculinity. It is a culturally idealized form of manhood. Normative form of masculinity. It's an image of masculinity that is the most honored, valued, ideal, and revered way of being a man. Okay, like I said, this is very focused. This is absolute tunnel vision on what a man should be. It has become the standard of evaluations for young men to become real men. Again, this is what society tells fathers should throw down their son's throat. Okay? So, like with my son, I should have been saying, put those Pokemon cards away. Real men don't play with Pokemon cards. And that is unhealthy because, if your son likes it and it can be used to better him in other ways, use it. Doing the Pokemon battles, there's numbers and all that involved. So I was using it to help him with his math. Requires all men to construct their sense of self in relation to this definition. Again, you are told these are the things that are required to be a man, and you must fill these. If you don't, you're not a man. It's constructed in opposition to femininity and to subordinate forms of masculinity. Not everybody is wanting to be the brutish male, and so they are considered lesser forms of men. And we'll get into that in a little bit. Coincides with patriarchy. Not completely, but the greatest rewards in the patriarchal society are reserved for those who perform hegemonic masculinity. The more manly you are, the more you get. All right. Hegemonic masculinity. The attributes of masculinity required by hegemonic masculinity: violence and aggression, stoic, in other words, emotional restraint, being cold to society, courage, toughness, risk-taking, adventure, and thrill-seeking. So if you are the type that get on your four-wheel drive truck and go down the mud roads and all that fun stuff, yeah, you're adventure-seeking, you're a man. Competitiveness Achievements. The more achievements you have, the more manly you are. But they got to be only certain achievements. Okay? You're supposed to be successful, heterosexuality, sexually knowledgeable and skilled, fertility, and whiteness. Now, that part I don't agree with because it should be, that shouldn't even be in there because these traits are pushed on black males, Hispanic males, Latinos. Latinos, they suffer a lot more, I think, than white people do because they are, there's a lot more culture in being a man, and they have their standards that they have to follow just as well. Also because of their Catholic background, that makes it worse because in the Hispanic Catholic traditions in Mexico and South America, you know, the woman is supposed to be quiet and silent and not seen. So the man is supposed to be the representation of the family in every way, shape, and form, which is unhealthy, in my opinion. Hegemonic masculinity is institutionalized, and this is what we're talking about here. Hegemonic masculinity is institutionalized in social institutions such as family, schools, and mass media, where boys are encouraged explicitly to strive to the ideals of masculinity that hegemonic masculinity lays out. How do you think high schools promote hegemonic masculinity? Well, football. I love football, yeah, but that is something that's used to push it because, you know, we are telling our young boys to go out there and kick their butts. You know, score touchdowns, don't lose, you know, come on, man up, and all that. So, sports are very aggressive and push for the hegemonic masculinity. Wrestling, okay, that's very one-to-one. Very one-to-one, man versus man in most cases, but there are women that are getting into wrestling. But it is trying to have one guy prove dominance over another, and that can go overboard and can be unhealthy. Now, there are actual layers in masculinity, and I saw this, and I just had to make sure this was expressed. Hegemonic masculinity is the manliest of the man. Okay? Well, there's complicit masculinity. Man doesn't fit characteristics of hegemonic masculinity, but doesn't challenge it. Often admires the characteristics of hegemonic masculinity. And I would say that would be me. Okay? While I do know that I'm a man, I know that there are some aspects that aren't me. I am not the type that's going to go out in football and just go hog wild and, you know, gotta hit, destroy, and all that. And so that's me. I'm not the overly aggressive type. Marginalized masculinity cannot fit the hegemonic masculinity because of certain characteristics like race or disability. The race part I don't like in this one because I don't believe that race is a defining aspect in that particular race group, because if you have a whole bunch of, let's go say, Africans in their group, they're still men. And just because they're different from white men does not mean that they're any less men. Now, a disability is another thing because there are people that are born with birth defects, or they have developed an illness that takes away their ability to do the hegemonic masculinity. And so I can understand this area. Don't like it, I understand it. still subscribes to the norms of hegemonic masculinity. There are people out there that have a disability and they do their damnedest to overcome it. And that, in some ways, makes them more man than others because they are showing true inner strength. Next one is subordinate masculinity. Exhibits qualities that are the opposite of those values in hegemonic masculinity. They're going to say it in here anyway. We're talking about one of the leading causes is homosexuality, because if you love a man, you can't be a man in their mentality. May exhibit physical weakness or be very expressive with emotions. Now this part I fit too, because I'm an emotional person. I repressed a lot of my emotions. I was the quiet one in the corner in school basically. And once I learned that I could express myself to be myself, I haven't shut up yet. But there's nothing wrong with showing emotions. And so this category needs to be removed as well. Physical weakness. Old age, believe it or not. You know how there are people that are saying, get out of the way, old man. Well, because they're older, they are viewed as not as strong, and so all of a sudden they are kicked out of the upper echelons of manhood because they are older. And that's wrong. I know a lot of old men that can do amazing feats, and they need to get the respect that they deserve. Homosexual or effeminate men. Okay, again, they believe that men should be going after women only, and if you are not, there's something wrong with you. You are somehow lesser. You are not a man. And so there are the tiers of manlyhood according to the people that want to maintain the man box. Implications of hegemonic masculinity. Non-heterosexual men are inherently excluded from achieving hegemonic masculinity, being the ideal man. Again, you know, you got to be chasing some tail to be a man. And this is wrong. There is nothing wrong with being a homosexual, a lesbian, or bisexual. Absolutely not. And to make this clear, I am an ordained minister. I live in Iowa. When Iowa legalized gay marriage, 3 weeks later, I was an ordained minister. Why? Because there were ministers out there that said that they would refuse to do marriages in Iowa to the homosexuals and all. And so I decided that I was going to give them the option. Okay? So being gay should not be held against you. Implications of hegemonic masculinity. Number 4, to be the ideal man. One can never be unfeminine enough or heterosexual enough. Requires frequent and constant displays of heterosexuality and achievement of hegemonic ideals. You always got to be the man. Okay. You notice that there are guys that are always constantly flexing their muscles. They are constantly belittling others because they are trying to always show that they're a man. This is the implication of hegemonic masculinity. It's got to stop. You're a man. Great. And, you know, you're not any better than us. You are a man just like me. Okay? And that is one of the things that I'm trying to teach. Implication of hegemonic masculinity is continuing on. Achieving hegemonic masculinity becomes an unattainable ideal, which is true. Key ideas. Gender norms act to constrain the behavior of both men and women. Men are not immune to these social forces. Again, this is the stereotypes and the expressions, the projections that other people push on us. If we have a whole bunch of people saying that real men play football, well, if you don't play football, then you're not a man, according to them. And we need to get rid of people like that. We need to change their minds. Ideals around masculinity are just as hard to obtain as are ideals around femininity. Yeah, but we don't hear a lot of woman up out there. We don't hear a lot of people telling women that they need to act in certain ways. Again, I want to talk about, I keep seeing videos, and they're out there still. There are all the memes on Facebook. Real men do this, and real men don't do that. Okay, so these are what a lot of women like to post on social medias to shame men. But, and I've done this intentionally, I posted, real woman should do this, and real woman should not do that. And I got banned. I got that post removed and put in Facebook jail. A little bit, double standard, hypocrisy. It's all right to shame men, but you can't shame women. Failure to live up to the ideals can be just as damaging as men as for women. Yes, that part I would agree with, because there are women that do get questioned, shamed for their actions. There are people that would go and say that Linda, I can't remember what her name is, something Rousey, who was a WWE wrestler and an mixed martial artist, ultimate fighting. There are some people that were saying that because she chose this, she's not as feminine. She's not as girly as she should be. And, I'm going that she's who she is. If that makes her happy and she's not hurting anybody in a certain way, fine. She can be that way. Okay? She's not going up beating up people that didn't want it. She was going into agreed matches. So what she was doing is just fine. Just like there are men that get shamed for doing what would be considered female traits, even though I don't agree with it. So if a man likes to cook like Gordon Ramsay, well, that's a female trait. He's not much of a man, although the mouth he has, is quite wild. It's who he is, and it does not take away from his mentality in any way, shape, or form. We need to embrace the idea of diversity of manhood. We cannot have hegemonic masculinity in manhood. Implications of hegemonic masculinity. Number 5, hegemonic masculinity hurts men. Hurts men if they cannot live up to the ideal. Psychologically, yeah, because they're constantly told to man up. They are told that they are lesser men. We have women that says, oh, you do this? Oh, shame on you. I've seen videos where guys like to play video games. Okay, women do too. But if this guy is a professional video game player, goes to the contests and all that, there are women that are going to view him as inferior because he's not strong physically. They believe that video gaming is not manly. Socially, we are supposed to have women around us. We are supposed to be dominant in our groups. We are supposed to be the alpha male in our groups, and if we're not, we are considered weak. There was an actual video that got me upset. I wish I linked it, where they're saying that women were dumping men because they were not the alpha male in their social group. Economically speaking, yes, men are expected to make so much money. And so if you don't have a good job and making the good money, you're looked down upon. This used to bother me, and thanks to the economic downturn a few years ago, I felt better about myself. I used to have a manual job, and I used to make some decent money. I had a 401k and all that, not much, but that's what I could save, and I was proud to have it. And I went to a class reunion, and there's all these other guys that, yeah, I do this. I have over 100,000 in my 401 and all that fun stuff. And I was a little jealous, to be honest. And it made me feel bad because I wasn't up to their standards. Then the economic downturn came, and all of a sudden, all those 401k plans went to shit. Except for mine, because I invested differently. They were being aggressive. They were taking chances and all that. They were doing stocks. I was doing bonds. And 5 years later, when I went to the next class reunion and hearing all their sob stories, my small 401k plan was bigger than theirs. Some of them didn't even have a 401k plan that was over $5,000. They were starting to worry. So economics can really affect how you feel about yourself. Hurts men if they do live up to the ideal. They sacrifice so much. There are people out there that are so wrapped up into their image to being the hegemonic male that they can actually sacrifice their families, the people that they're supposed to love. Because remember, you're supposed to repress your emotions. Well, if, like in that one example, don't show emotions to your kids. What happens if you're going to a basketball game, you're watching your son play, he's doing good, and the game's over, they won, but you're supposed to be stoic because you did good, son. No. Show emotions. Get excited. Man, you did good. That one three-pointer you did was awesome. Express yourself. Show love. Okay? Part about being a father, to being a leader in the family, is to build bonds with everybody in the family. Your spouse and your children. And other family, and your extended family. You cannot be stoic all the time. You have to show emotions to build bonds. Okay? Those bonds are needed to build the family, but to also advance not only yourself, but them in the world. Because it is going to be hard for the son to accept as much help from the father if the father is a stoic. You want somebody that goes in with you emotionally. I mentioned Pokemon cards with my son. At first I didn't like Pokemon, but it was something to do with my son, and so I did it. And so I started buying the Pokemon cards, and my son and we played Pokemon. And we got silly, we expressed a whole source of emotions, but we had bonded. And my son and I, now that he's over 20 years old, we still laugh about things involving Pokemon cards because that is our bond, part of our bond. Okay? Hegemonic masculinity and patriarchy. Now, this is where some people are going to argue that's fine. Hegemonic masculinity does not equal patriarchy. They are two different systems, but they do overlap. Patriarchy is a social system in which resources, goods, privileges, and power are allocated in such a way as to reward. Now, most feminists are going to go the cold cut, it's men over women. However, for men, it's men who conform to hegemonic masculinity over other men. So, with this type of masculinity, the straight ideal men will get stuff, and the homosexuals, males, will get some of the leftovers. And that's wrong. Men are men. All right. And now this is another diagram. It just discusses what we've already discussed. This is the pyramid for hegemonic masculinity in comparison with others forms of masculinity. You know, the complicit and the subordinate forms of masculinity. Now, if you notice that they only put women down at the bottom, and women could be up a little bit higher. They can be in the complicit too. But this is showing that for hegemonic masculinity, it's not just men versus women, as a lot of women like to say, because a lot of hegemonic men are against everybody. They're against the world, and that is unhealthy. Hegemonic masculinity and patriarchy, another part. Patriarchy links rewards in society to the performance of hegemonic masculinity. Greatest awards accrue to men who perform hegemonic masculinity. Okay, more manly you are, the more you get. If you do hegemonic masculinity right, there are great rewards. Okay, but doing it right is a struggle, not easy. Okay, you are expected to do so much, like I said previously. You have to also sacrifice parts of your life to fit their mold, to fit their standards, their demands, their stereotypes. This is why patriarchy does not mean the automatic success, power, and privilege of men. Okay? Which is something that I strongly believe that all women are going to disagree with this part. I shouldn't say all women. Most women are going to disagree with this part because they don't want to see that we men are also having prejudice against other men. And that is wrong. Both these have to be removed. We should not be considering, men should not be considering themselves superior to other men and to women. We are supposed to be equals. We're supposed to work as a team. Thus, leadership. Okay? If you are wanting to be a good, healthy man, you have got to find what's wrong with society and change it. To be a leader, you must go forth and go and struggle to make the world a better place. Okay? You need to stop thinking, well, that's a gay man over there. He's not as good as me. He can just wait. No. He's a man, right? He's a person. He's a person. That should be the only thing that matters. Give him a shot. Give him a chance. Make him part of your team. The more people you have in your team, the more results you'll get. Okay? As long as you vet them out. Okay? That is one of the aspects of leadership we have to remember. Masculinity in crisis. The dominance of hegemonic masculinity has put us in a place of crisis. Men continue to have to strive to live up to an unattainable ideal, which we have discussed. This pressure has lessened in women and some degrees. Women lately have been wanting to be in the work world and have the ability to earn a paycheck, and so they have ideals that are now being thrown upon them. And this is why women lately have not been as happy as men, because now they have expectations and demands put on them. Okay, so it's actually lessened in some ways for men, but gotten worse for men too. Where do men fit in a culture where we haven't updated our definitions of masculinity to mesh in with our contemporary culture and economic reality? Okay. We are putting old standards. I mean, these are probably standards that we've had throughout civilization, where men have to achieve certain things. Men are this because of this. And if they are not this, then they are lesser. And we have not changed it. We have changed so much in society, over the last 100 years. And our technological advances has made it instantaneous in so many aspects, but we have these age-old stereotypes, demands, traits thrown upon us. We got to break these down. We got to escape these aspects and redefine manhood to be better men, better leaders. All right, this is the last one. Healthy manhood. I thought this would be very good. In a path out of the man box, 12 keys to practicing healthy manhood. Embracing and expressing a full range of emotions. Yeah, there are times where it is good to be angry, but there are times where you need to be sad, you need to cry. Experiencing loss. If you have a family member die, cry. Please cry. A sad part in my life was taking care of my dad. My dad has had some strokes, and he has dementia coming in. I was the one who took him to get his dementia test, which is a series of questions they ask. Out of a score of 50, my dad scored 4 points. That was heartbreaking. Okay, I knew my dad had troubles, but to see that just hurt so much. I was so sad by that. And I expressed those feelings. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people that won't. Okay? If you're experiencing loss, cry. It's all right. Even if you have to do it in private at first. But cry. Validating the feels of others, boys and men. Okay? Again, we need to stop telling people to man up on every little thing. Some people can be going through a hard time. Divorce is high in the world right now. A person could be going through a divorce and being at a loss and be sad. We cannot go up and tell them, oh, man up. That's not healthy. We need to talk to them, talk with them, and find out what's going on and listen and maybe give some good sound advice. That is a way to be a leader amongst friends, and that's what we need to do. Number 3, be willing to cry. As I said with example number 1, I've cried. Does it make me any less of a man? No. But what it has done is open up doors. It's made me more empathic. Because I am able to express myself openly, I am more able to see the world around me. And that is great. That is one of the reasons why I'm at the job I am at now. I help people with mental disabilities. I take care of guys that are schizophrenic, bipolar, they have MR, which stands for mental retardation. They have mental disabilities that take away from their ability to live complete lives. And so my job is to help them in little ways here and there, and also to make sure that they do not make any unhealthy choices. Sometimes it's to help them cook, but I am to help them live better lives. And let's see. I think I just did number 4, being vulnerable, allowing oneself and others to ask for help, offer help, and accept help. Okay? And we're talking about being leaders and men. We have to be able to help other people. I made that point in my previous video. If we cannot open up, how can we find out what's hurting others? How can we get rid of the grief that other people are going through. You might have a daughter that's going through a hard time, puberty. Maybe she has boy problems. If you're stoic, how are you going to sit down and talk to your daughter about these issues? You have to open up. Number 5, valuing the lives of girls and women. Oh, should be an obvious for all of you. Okay? They are people. They go through the same emotionals and most of the same physical disabilities and effects that you go through. And so they feel life. They experience life. They are able to do wonderful things if given a chance. I'm not saying go out there and call your daughter princess, because that is so damn unhealthy. But sometimes you need to go down there and drink tea with your daughter. Have a chat with your wife or with a female friend. Learn about them and you will learn something about yourself. Having all sorts of people in your life, men, women, children, doesn't matter if they're gay, whatever. All of these different types of people will add to your life, add to your knowledge, and make you a better person. Number 6, treating all people equally and promoting the betterment of humanity. Okay, this is like my main goal in life. I want to make my corner of the world a better place. And so how do I do that? I do things like this. I try to talk to people and give them ideas, to open their mind, to let them think for themselves, not being confined by a set of rules and standards. Okay? Just because somebody is different from you does not make them lesser than you. Okay? There are people out there that are different and better than you. There are people out there that are different than you, but on the same level as you. And there are some people that are different that might be at a disadvantage. We're talking possible physical and all that. But they're still people, and they deserve to be treated just like you. Never use control or violence. Now, I disagree with this in some ways, but you should never try to use violence or the threat of violence to get your way. Don't be a bully, okay? We have to try to talk and build bridges. We need to build a community, a family. And we cannot do that by bullying people, because if only way you can get something done is through intimidation, once your back's turned, they're going to blow you off. Okay, so build a bond. Don't bully people. Now, I said I disagree with this because men, we are unfortunately and in many ways should be the protectors, the defenders, the builders. And so sometimes we have to use control and violence to protect others. Sometimes we have to put ourselves in harm's way to protect what is important to us. And so there is an exception to number 7. Number 8, never use gender-based attributes to bully or discriminate. Now, it should be more than just gender-based, because if you take anything and use it against somebody, you're bullying or discriminating. This could be weight. This could be racial, because if you are an idiot that thinks that all whites are better than blacks, or that there is a difference between Hispanics and Latinos are better and all that. If you think in any way that just because of different color skin or a different area that you come from makes you better, then you're an idiot. Okay. But we need to stop using things to discriminate against others. Again, so men and women are different and equal in different ways. We have strength, both men and women have strengths and weaknesses, and the way I look at it is that they balance out. I might be better at cooking than some females, but then there are some females that are better cooks than me, but then there might be something else that I'm better at that they're not quite as. It balances out. It's not about constantly being better than the other. Number 9, never use language that denigrates women and girls. Okay. Now this could be anything, as in like you fight like a girl, you're just like your mama, or things like that. Don't say that. Okay. There are strong women out there. There are smart women out there. There are women that are excellent athletes. And so it's like saying, man, you're as intelligent as a woman, then going, but I'm referencing Madame Curie. Okay, she was an intelligent woman. Okay. So we need to stop, saying that being a woman is somehow inferior, because there are women out there that deserve respect a lot more than what we probably give credit to. Number 10, having an interest in women and girls outside of sexual context. This is easier. This would be easy as heck. Okay? Men can have female friends and never have sexual interest in it. Okay? We do it all the time. Guys, do you have daughters? Do you have a mother? Do you have a sister? Do you have some weird thoughts about them? Of course not. Okay? So you can do it with them. You can do it with all other women. Okay? There are women that I work with that are younger than me and probably would be considered relatively pretty. I don't look at that anymore. And I talk to them. They're my coworkers. There are some people that at the local grocery store that I get along with very well, and we call each other by our names. Hi, how you doing, Robin? And how you doing, Liv? No problems. Okay, we can do this. Okay, and so let's do that. Life does not evolve around sex. It's fine to have that in your life, but it should not be the controlling factor in your life. Modeling healthy manhood for other men and boys. Okay, again, this is very important. We don't want the bully being the main inspiration for our children and for the people around us. We want to be role models. This is it. Step up and show the good aspects of being a human and a man. Show that there are times where, yes, you have to fight, but if you can, don't. Show that men can have a lot of skills, have hobbies, share time with people. Spend time with your son or your daughter, but since it's talk about men and boys, go play the community softball. Go play catch with your son. Build bonds. That's important. And the final one is 12, using your influence and platforms to promote this practice. Okay, leadership. Okay. If you stand true for what you believe in, you are going to get people to listen to at various degrees. And you're going to get more and more people that are going to trust what you have to say. That is the building blocks of leadership. And as you become a better leader, you're going to get more people to listen to you and interact with you. And then you will be able to use platforms like YouTube here, which is what I'm trying to do right here. I have a very small platform, And I'm hoping that I could reach out to people in the world and make their life that much better. And I am trying to promote a positive practice. And so when I am done with this video, I would have accomplished number 12. And I would feel really good about myself. All right, that's all of them. It's been a long video so far, but that's fine. We have to break all these negative stereotypes. Nobody gets to decide who you are as a man except for you. Nobody gets to decide if you are a woman except for you. All right. The idea of society determining what you are by all these traits, attributes, stereotypes, and all that is wrong, because who are we going to listen to? Okay? Who I'm going to listen to be as my role models is going to be different from this person. Do I allow people that live in China to determine what I am? No. I might listen to a little bit more of the people around me, a very small circle, and that will have some influence on me. Am I going to let a whole bunch of feminists with Z Budapest saying that, men are bad, women are great? No. I'm not going to have somebody that hates me just because I got something in between my legs. Okay? The joke is a man's shadow crossed her shadow, and she had to go do a cleansing ritual. She's that bad. Okay? We have to be selective in who influences us. We cannot just let society as a whole, because society as a whole has a lot of negativity, people that are wanting to manipulate and twist. Just like I mentioned the feminists a lot here. They want to press their ideals of female equality, which is good, but there's also female superiority or female vengeance, which isn't good. So we got to watch out who says what. We do not want a whole bunch of closed-minded thugs being able to go and say, well, this is what men do. This is what men don't do. We have to find a modern way to determine what manhood is for ourselves, to be better. And as we get better, we will be better leaders. And paganism needs a lot of good leaders out there. We have a lot of individuals in the pagan umbrella, and there are very few people that can work with unifying the pagan community. And it won't ever be done, because trying to get some unity in the pagan community is like herding cats. It's impossible. But anyway, I need to end this video. I would like to hear your opinions on this. This was not about male superiority, men are better than women, because we're different. Equal, but different. This is about getting past some unhealthy stereotypes that people like to push on us. Be emotional. Build bonds. Make this world a better place. That is your goal. That is the main thing you want to do. Because guys, remember, we like to build things, right? We like to build society. We built the buildings. We built governments. We built churches. Some good, some bad. But we like to build. Well, make this world a better place. Build that. So for everybody else out there, please take care. Be at peace.